What's going on, you guys? My name's Lloyd, your pickup and dating coach. Here with The Single Guy, we're giving you practical and actionable advice that really works, not some mainstream be yourself bullshit. Today we're going to be talking about a subject that a lot of people ask me, and that's how to never run out of things to say, especially with an attractive girl. So if you clicked on this video, you've probably been in that situation where you're talking to a girl and you just can't think of what to say next, and then there's like a really awkward silence, and then you just both leave with like a bad taste in your mouth. Okay, so this has probably happened to you, and it's happened to a lot of my students, and it used to happen to me a lot too, but ironically it never happens to me anymore because I go by the tips that I'm going to give you in this video. In this video, I'm going to show you how to never run out of things to say. I'm going to show you how to say things that are actually going to progress it in the direction that you want, like get a phone number, get her out on a date, or have sex with her, moving in a positive direction. And then I'm also going to show you how to be captivating and help her contribute to the conversation more, okay? So let's get right into it. The first tip that I'm going to give you is, first of all, stop filtering what you say so much. Stop filtering what you say so much, you guys. Most of you watching this video, I guarantee you, you probably have a best friend or someone that you can talk to for just hours on end. Like, you kind of lose track of time. You never run out of things to talk about with this person. Why is this? Well, it's because you're not filtering what you say. Whatever your thoughts and feelings are, you feel free to express them with this person because you trust them. But when it's with a hot girl, you start filtering. You start saying, don't say that, that's not cool, or that's lame, she's not gonna like that, or don't say that, if you're thinking about like, I don't know, wow, this girl has like really nice tits. Obviously, you probably don't want to say something like that. But guys go too far when they filter a lot of what they say. So in this, I want you guys to stop filtering what you say so much. Remember, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Even what I just said where I was saying, oh, this girl has really nice tits, I probably shouldn't say that. I can actually get away with saying that sometimes because it's the way you say it. Especially if you say things in a very playful manner, you can get away with saying a lot of stuff. And you have to be conscious of the intent, okay? If you're intending to try and have a vibe between two people, if you're trying to like have a good connection, well, then it helps to not filter yourself so much, not stifle the thoughts that you have inside. A lot of guys, they're self-conscious because they feel like the thoughts that they have to express just aren't cool, or people don't want to hear about them. I used to be one of these people. When I was in college, I majored in physics, and I didn't think that anybody would really want to talk about that. And the truth is, they don't want to talk about the math equations, but they are curious to hear my experience. If you're able to capture your experience, you're able to delve into the emotions behind it, whatever subject you're talking to, I guarantee you people are going to enjoy hearing it, okay? They don't really care so much about the facts, the figures. They care about your experience. They care about the emotions and the vibe that the conversation is going to have as a result of that, okay? Now, when you start talking more without filtering yourself, obviously there are times where you're going to make a mistake, where you're going to say something that might offend her, maybe something's too rude or something like that, and you have to backtrack a little bit, okay? So what I'm really good at, and guys, I mess up all the time when I'm talking to people. Sometimes I make a joke, nobody laughs. Sometimes I say things that are like too inappropriate, somebody gets offended. It's fine. I just backtrack. I just say, hey, sorry, didn't mean to offend you, and then we move on. Or, hey, that joke kills around my mom. Just whatever, okay? So you just be able to backtrack, recognize when you've made a mistake, and then keep pushing forward. People are usually quick to forgive if you recognize the fact that it might have upset somebody or it might have offended somebody. And hey, look, you're not going to make friends with everyone, so even if you rub some people the wrong way, that's okay. What's not okay is never attempting and never expressing yourself, because you're not going to get any results from that. Tip number 2 is stop giving such short answers, okay? Most guys, when I hear them talk to women, the girl will ask them a question. They'll be like, hey, how was your day? And they'll just be like, fine. And they'll be like, oh, cool, where are you from? Here. Oh, nice, where are your friends at? They're around. It's like, dude, like, this girl is trying to talk to you, man, and you're being like no wonder you're running out of stuff to talk about, because you keep giving these short one-word answers. And as a result, when you ask her a question, what is she going to do? She's going to give one-word defensive answers as well. So that doesn't make for a very good conversation. Those conversations die out super quick. Nothing's going to happen from them. What you should start doing is get good at elaborating. Get good at expressing, hey, what really happened in your day, okay? Again, delve into the emotions here. Women do not care about the logical facts, figures. In fact, most people don't care about that in your stories, okay? Sure, that gets the information across if you're in a business meeting very effectively, but when you're in a conversation with somebody, you're not trying to pass off information. You're trying to experience, you're trying to feel, you're trying to be a part of the conversation and hang out with that person. And it doesn't really matter so much about the facts and figures. I mean, if you listen to the way women talk on the phone or the way they talk to each other, the content doesn't matter. It's the fact that they're hanging out and there's like a vibe between the two of them. That's the real important thing here. So get good at giving longer answers. Maybe you could say, instead of saying, oh, my day was good, just tell a little story. Tell I was walking back home the other day and I was feeling kind of weird. Like, I don't know why I was feeling weird. Like, I felt like I had a good day at work. I felt like everything was going good. And about half an hour later, I realized I was hungry. And as soon as I ate, I felt better. Now that seems like a lame, silly story, but the fact that I was expressive, the fact that I kind of delved into the emotions a little bit, I guarantee you that's actually not a bad story to tell a woman, especially if you guys are talking and flirting with each other. She'll probably be like, oh my God, yes, the other day, I thought I was hungry too. It sounds silly, but you guys have to realize that it's not about the content of what you're saying, it's how you're saying it and the relatability of it and that too, and the fact that you're experiencing with another person. Okay, so stop giving such short answers. One thing that really helps with this is to become a good storyteller. You can check out a video. I actually have a video on this subject, or how to be a better storyteller. And I tell about, you have to paint pictures when you're talking to someone. You have to talk about what you saw, what you heard, maybe what you felt, maybe if you tasted something too. Get really good at being descriptive of the environment you're in. Not only are you going to be more of a captivating speaker, but you're also going to have more to talk about, and you're going to be able to keep the conversation going. And people are going to be really entranced in what you're saying. When I was telling that story, I was kind of talking about my feelings when I was feeling hungry a little bit. And it was a short story, but you can see how descriptive I am when I tell stories, and that's why they're so much more engaging, and that's why I can talk for a lot longer than a lot of most people. Tip number 3 are the 5 questions that I go by. So if you haven't seen my video on 5 questions I ask every girl when I'm out, watch that video right now. Basically, these are oh shit questions. These are just like, if you can't think of anything to say, you can't think of anything to ask her, you go for these 5 questions. They're really simple. The first 3 are small talk, the last 2 are logistical. So it's basically, who are you? This is kind of like, what's your name? Where are you from? What do you do? Like your occupation. And the last 2 are who are you here with and what's your plan for tonight, or what are you up to today? The last 2 are going to tell you if it makes sense for you to keep talking to her, like if she's at a bachelorette party and she leaves the next day, or if she actually lives in the area and she's going to be hanging out there that night. Okay, so these are really important to see if you're going to make progress with this girl, but they're also like just easy questions that she knows the answer to and she's going to tell you. It's not like a really complicated question that's going to like lead to something crazy. These are normal questions that everybody asks, and it's a normal part of the conversation. And so what a lot of guys try and do is they emphasize too much. They think, because they're filtering what they say, they think that normal questions are boring and that they shouldn't ask them. Well, I have boring conversations all the time, and a lot of times they can lead to sex. Remember, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, okay? So these questions are totally fine if you just want to keep the conversation going in a normal fashion. And sometimes the conversation gets a little too crazy, like we're talking about something really obscure or constantly bantering. Then I'll bring it down to a normal level just so I show her that, hey, I'm a normal person and I'm trying to get to know you. And it just builds up a little bit of comfort too. Tip number 4 is the chain of association drill. So this is basically how you keep the conversation going, how you keep finding new topics of conversation to talk about. You never really run out of topics of conversation. And you can practice this by yourself. Basically, the drill is this. If you're talking to someone and she says, yesterday I ran a mile, okay? So you have 3 things that you can talk about there. I know I was almost about to do 4, but you have 3 things. You have yesterday, ran, mile. Any 3 of those things, you can come up with a new statement. So let's do ran, okay? So when I was in middle school, I did a lot of track and field. I ran a lot of track and field. So there's a new statement right there. You can talk about middle school, you can talk about track and field, and you can talk about competing. So let's key in on competing. I compete a lot. Whenever it comes to sports, I'm a very competitive person. So right now I'm doing jiu-jitsu, and so I compete a lot when I'm doing jiu-jitsu. And although it's kind of new and exciting for me and I'm not very good at it, I'm still able to go against guys that I feel like I'm making progress against. Okay, so now we have a new statement. Now we have jiu-jitsu. Now we have well, we had competition, but that's what we were talking about before. And then we have getting better and improving. So let's say you wanted to talk about a new statement. So getting better and improvement's a big part of life. So if you are trying to be a happy person, I would say that you should be constantly improving on things. Improvement is one of the biggest antidotes for depression, in my opinion. Okay, so now we have a new statement. Talk about depression, happiness, and talk about quality of life. So let's talk about depression. A lot of people are depressed these days. You know, it runs through my family. I've dealt with a little bit in my life, but I think the key thing about here is to not focus on it too much and just concentrate on moving and working ahead, because in my opinion, action, improving, those are the types of things that are going to make you a better person, and they're going to keep you happy overall in the long term. And I think going for happiness actually is one of the biggest mistakes that people make, because when they're going for happiness, they put too much expectation on it. I think what you should really go for is satisfaction. Okay, cool. So you can see how we went from I ran a mile to track and field, to competing and improving, to depression, to quality of life. So you saw how a bunch of these topics, they kind of link together, okay? And we're able to just talk nonstop about different things, okay? Practice doing this where you focus on these individual words, these individual topics, and then link them all together, and you can rant, you can talk forever, for ages, okay? Now this might seem like a weird thing to do, and it might not seem like a good conversation, but again, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Like I said, if you hear the way girls talk on the phone, it sounds nonsensical. A lot of times it sounds very confusing, but again, it's not about the content of what they're talking about, it's the fact that they're bonding with each other. It's the fact that they're actually just hanging out and experiencing stuff with each other. The words, yeah, sure, they can make it a little bit of a difference, but that's not why they're doing it in the first place. And once you're able to tap into this, you're able to actually free yourself and have that $1 million mouthpiece that everybody talks about, where you just have endless stuff to talk about, and you're able to move it in a direction that people want and keep it exciting. Remember, while you're doing this, what you should want to do is you should want to link it with the tips that I gave before, which is tap into the emotions, get descriptive, start telling stories, paint pictures. If you're good at doing both of these things in tandem, that's what gives you the $1 million mouthpiece. Basically, this is a person that can move conversations in a direction that he wants. He can talk endlessly, and he can talk with anyone. So this is not just good for picking up women, this is good for life. Tip number 6 is, if you really can't think of anything to say and there's a lull in the conversation, you feel like you've been talking for a while, tell her to start talking. Okay? One of the things that I use, a line that I use all the time, is if I meet a girl at the bar and then we kind of go sit down someplace else, I'll be like, hey, tell me more about yourself. Okay, so in these scenarios, you're putting it back on her. Kind of like my previous example, but this is more direct. And this is a high value thing to do, man. This is like, hey, tell me more about yourself. Let's see if, I like you. You're getting her to qualify rather than you just talking the whole time. A big problem that I see a lot of beginner guys have is they're constantly trying to speak. They're constantly trying to impress the girl that they're talking to. Let her impress you for a little bit, okay? That's what a guy who's got a lot of options does. He's not seeing if can I get this girl to like me? He's saying, hey, is this girl good for me in my life? That's what he's going for. And that's what I want you guys to go for more as well too. Now, sometimes when you say, hey, tell me more about yourself, she's going to be like, oh, well, what do you mean by that? Or I'll say tell me more about yourself. And then she'll be like, oh, what do you want to know? And I'll be like, well, I'll start. I'm Lloyd. My favorite color is blue. I like to do jujitsu. And on the weekends, I walk my dog. So then she'll go and she'll say something silly, and then you have a bunch of stuff to work with. Maybe she walks her dog too. Maybe she works out. There's a bunch of topics that you can talk about there. And now you have stuff to talk about. Tip number 7. This is the final tip that I'm going to give you. Be okay with silence. Be okay with silence. A lot of beginner guys and students that I have, they want to keep talking, and if they feel like there's any lull in the conversation, any sort of awkward silence, oh, the attraction's killed, it's over, the set's done, okay? That's not true. A lot of times, awkward silences are the best things to have. I will actually intentionally put in awkward silences sometimes. The reason why I do this is because if you're constantly talking all the time, you don't let any time for things to sit. You don't let any time for tension to arise. Tension is that little bit of playful discomfort that you get, especially with two people who like each other. That should be happening. There should be a healthy amount of like a little bit of awkward silences, a little bit of tension to it. And if you hide away from that, well, you just killed a major part of the attraction process, or a major part of the relationship, okay? What you need to do is you need to be okay with awkward silences. Give yourself a little bit of time to think of something new, or think of something to ask her, or think, hey, there's something I don't know about this person. I'd like to know more about her, Those are the types of things that I want you guys to start doing, where rather than you're constantly thinking, hey, how can I impress this person? How can I look good? What can this girl do for me? And once you're okay with awkward silences, you'll see a lot of times if you've been talking for a while, you let the conversation, the silence sit a little bit. She'll be like, so where are you from? Or like, do you have any siblings? Or like, do you have a girlfriend? She asks you that, obviously she's probably interested in you, but you never gave her the opportunity to do that because you were constantly talking. Okay, so a lot of times I'll see guys fall into that trap. So don't be scared of awkward silences. Don't be scared of silence in general, man. Give yourself a minute or two and then come back to it. Or not a minute or two, give yourselves a few seconds and then come back into the conversation. All right, so that's all I have to say about this subject. If you guys have any more tips that I didn't think of, please put them in the comment section below. Would love to hear them. If you guys are wondering how to do this in your everyday life, I would say 99% of the people that are watching this video are not going to develop the actual habits that it takes to be able to talk nonstop, to never run out of things to say. And the reason why is because they don't go out and execute, or they don't execute properly. They're not taking action. The best way to start taking action is shoot me an email. Let's hop on a consultation call. We'll talk about your goals and we'll see if we can help you reach them. If you're going out, this is a good idea for you to do, and something that it will definitely get those results that you're looking for. So if you guys have any questions, put them in the comment section below. If you made it to, consider subscribing. I come out with videos like this every single week. Hit that like button. I'll talk to you guys soon. Good luck out there.